Oh, I don't think so. Except we also have it as an emblem to show that we are compliant. Nigerian youth. This week we have what we call Click Niger Heroes Challenge. And our Click Niger Heroes Challenge, we are taking this opportunity to look at good things and fantastic things or wonderful things, unique things that young Nigerians have done, especially in this year 2020. 2020 has been a very challenging year for a lot of people. New things happened, unexpected. It wasn't something anybody planned for, but there were still people who went out of their way to make life better for others. And you agree with me that, we had the big names, Dangotes, the $10 that were contributing billions. But we also had young people like us, who out of nothing went out of their way to do stuff. And I want to believe all of us seated here are some of those people. I mean, this description fits us as well. So congratulations, you are our heroes as well, and welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to be having a very hearty conversation, and we're hoping that we'll all lend our voices to these issues that concern youth in Nigeria. But let's just take a tour around the room and do a bit of introduction.
Yes, sir. By my right, I have Mr. Adekunle Ade, who is a public affairs analyst and commentator.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Next to him is Mr. Adamu Shokoya, who is a youth leader, Bagi youth leader.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. And also we have the actor, the star actor in the house. Some people call him Kudus. Kudus in Halita. His name is Abraham and Hassan. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Kudus.
It is an exam.
And finally, Mr. Solomon Ajoju, President National Youth Council of Nigeria. Welcome, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you for having me. Good day,
We're expecting one more person. Hopefully, the person joins us and we can start the conversation. Well, before we have the person join us, we're talking about the voices of Nigerian youths in national affairs. And so, for many years, we know that Nigerians earned the reputation of being all talk and no action. Some people have called them that, and they spend their time, most times, lamenting on social media without actually coming out to join the movement or let their voices be heard offline. However, the narrative seems to have changed with the recent protests against police brutality organized by youths under the banner of the NSAS movement, a movement which has now become a metaphor for the demands of youths for an end to bad governance in Nigeria. And also in the aftermath of the NSAS protest, how can Nigerian youths organize to make sure that their opinions and contribution to national affairs goes beyond the social media space? What is next for the youths?
Mm-hmm. So this was one of the major questions that came out from our conversations on Monday. This thing about Nigerian youth being very, very active on social media. When Nigerian youth want to start dragging someone on Twitter, you need to see like it is a madhouse. But when it comes to actual reality, sometimes it looks like we don't see them. But I think for the first time, we saw, well, let me not say for the first time to some person, to a lot of people, they experienced this protest that, happened. But we're asking a question first, how our voices can translate from what we do on social media to actual reality. We are the ladies in the room. I would have said ladies first, but we're already taking first.
Yes.
So let's just, yes. I don't know who wants to shoot first. Fire on.
All right. Thank you very much for the question. Just like you said, I think to me, for a very long time now, this is the first time Nigerian youth are speaking with one voice and with a very loud voice for that matter. And it's also very true that most of our youth have been speaking on social media, and our problem is that we are not putting our words into action. And your question is how we put our words into action. I think the best solution is for us to participate fully in politics. It's very, very important that we participate fully in politics. And that's why we have the three arms of government, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. And we know it very well that the legislative arm of government being the arm of government responsible for making of laws. I said the other time I came here, if you look at the National Assembly dominated by very old people, and you don't expect these people to make laws that will favor us. And then talking about the executive arm of government also, that has to do with the president, the governors, and their appointees, and the local government chairman, and even the councillor. If you look at most of these people, they are also elderly people, they are old people. The youth are very, very few among them, and you don't also expect them to act in our favor. And that's why I said it's very, 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 very important that we participate fully in politics so that we be part of the decision making process of our country and also be part of the implementation implementation process of our country. So at least we'll be able to make laws that will favor us.
I think we'll get into how now, the actual how. But there's this thing about, people feeling, there's this feeling that Nigerian youths are docile, or, have this nonchalant attitude. Why? Exactly. Why do you think this feeling is there? Even from these persons who we think are in authority, why do we think that perception is there? Yeah.
The reason is simple. It's not simple. Let me correct the notion. It's not simple really docile when it comes to politics. You don't access.
It's a feeling.
No, you don't access. What's the level of our participation in the political environment? Just understand that the political environment has its own challenge. All right. And one of the biggest challenge of political environment with Nigeria is the fact that it is capital intensive. We need money to do politics. Then, secondly, you look at the violent nature of that our politics in Nigeria. And most Nigerians used to look like, oh boy, I too young to go down. You understand? So it's not like that. So that's why sometimes we sit back and we make our voice heard via Twitter. They call them the Twitter warriors, the hashtag warriors. Because first and foremost, for you to penetrate that office, but just take an example, you are running for council alone, a ward councillor, will cost you nothing less than what? 5 to 10 million naira, at least being modest. And you must have, your network must be as strong like that of Victoria network.
Why? But the network, yes. Everyone wants to say something.
Yeah, just to take it back a little bit. In our culture and society, we've always had this issue of respect for your elders, right from home. So imagine that, in fact, my son, when I'm talking to my son this morning, in fact, just this morning, he wanted to play with his toy car when I wanted to bath him. And then I said, no, go and drop it. And he said, no, he wants to play. And I said, no, you must drop it. He wasn't happy. He dropped it. To him, I should let him play with his toy car while he's having his bath. And I'm saying, no, drop it and listen to me. I'm your father. So he's going to grow up with that mentality that I have to respect what my father is telling me to do. And if my father's friend comes into the house, I'm going to ask him to accord the same respect to that my friend. Okay. And so you see us as youths, our fathers are already in playing politics, right? I can't go and tell my father that your friend is doing something wrong. He can't govern us well.
Because of that feeling.
Because of exactly.
Of how
yeah. So even though I'm pained, I was taught to respect my parents and our uncles. And so we may not have our voices to speak much. We can only grumble. Then when we see our elders, we close our mouth.
But you were giving the child that advice at that point because that was what you thought was best for him.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but a point comes where, in the end, parents just want to hear what parents just want their kids to do what they are saying. Okay. You can all attest to that. Some things your parents tell you to do, you know that you don't want to do, but your parents say you should do it.
This issue came up very strongly on Monday. One of the things that came up was that there's this lack of confidence or trust in a Nigerian youth. A 35-year-old, your parents do not even trust that you can take certain decisions. And this issue of when they were younger, their parents trusted them so much. Many of them left the villages, to Lagos, to the big cities in lorries without their parents being to Lagos for the first time at all. There was that trust. So, just.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So in the end, you see that a lot of us, he mentioned violence, right? These same people will come and call us and say, come and gather together, I will give you something, right? And then they will go and cause problems somewhere, and then they get some small stipend for those. I think in the end, it backfires on some of them, young people who are armed, and they refuse to give the arms back, and it becomes a tussle. And so at the point, it becomes like this man has his own gang, that man also has his own political gang, and the rest of them. So if APC has its own gangs, and PDP have their own gangs, for instance, and the people who are actually having those weapons are youths. So how do you expect that man to now trust these people?
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Are the political parties the ones really to blame for that? Why would the youth allow themselves to be used as gangs? Don't they have the choice to or not to? Let's hear Mr. Solomon.
All right, thank you very much. And this is a right question with you too. You see, every man is responsible for his destiny. You carve your own path. As young Nigerians, we must carve our paths. You see, the truth is, in leadership, you will rise through adversity. Whatever challenges are there, it is your duty to first of all break through them. As young Nigerians, we tend to look at things from certain prisms or perspectives. If we want to get to power, for instance, political power to be specific, there are parameters. We should begin to organize ourselves not just only through political parties. We should begin to know that, yes, for us to get into power, what are the available vistas of opportunities in society that we can utilize to build ourselves? How can we organize? If we feel we will help one of us to get into power, how can we help a few stand their feet in business and so on and so forth? Then, if you come to the issue of Togri, who is to blame, the political parties or all or whichever, I would not want to be throwing blames here. But like I say, the wood insect that gathers sticks will carry it on its own head. Every man is responsible for his destiny. You are an architect of your own pathway. You choose what you want and you do what you want. It is simple. If you do this, you get this result. And if you don't do that, you get the other. So what are you willing to take? Nobody will come and conscript you into Togri. No political party will come and force you to go into Togri. No politician will come and force you to go into Togri. So if we could, or if we can organize ourselves to press for certain points, then also we should be able to tell ourselves salient truths that we are not going to be cajoled, cowed, or pushed into all of these things. So primarily, going forward, it is imperative that Nigerian youth know where we want to head to and carve that pathway of how we want to get there. It is very glaring that there are adversarial circumstances in front of us. But how can we overcome this? The road to the top is not a straight trajectory. It is winding. You move, it's undulating. Sometimes crest, sometimes troughs. But then in the end, you must have your eyes on your destination and the best pathway to get there. That is all what we need.
Now, this process that happened actually saw a lot of youths coming together just off social media. They've been complaining about this. They started it on social media, moved to the streets. And now when what happened on the streets, they moved back to social media. And you're mentioning how they can re-strategize and come up with a plan, an actionable plan where their voices will be heard. How do you think they should go about this? Because we mentioned, I don't know, off air also, that they lacked leadership. And so they extended the protest for so long. And then things went haywire as it
Okay, so just before you take that, we have one of our guests coming in. So please come in and good morning.
Good to have you. Welcome.
Yes.
All right, so she is, we're just joined by Annette Itayo. Yes, but Bodea. She is a business development analyst. Okay, so
Nice
welcome.
to have you. Finally, the room is getting. We trust that you can, you know.
Only female amongst the panel.
Exactly.
Wow. Yes. So you're blessed.
Welcome.
All right, back to my question, Mr. Solomon.
Now, you see,
What should they do?
power, like an advert I read several decades ago, I think 2 decades ago. So, power is nothing without control. You must know when to accelerate, when to apply the brakes, steering wheel to turn, alter your movements, your direction. Now, if we could raise so much sensitization, if we could spread the message so rapidly that led to that mass movement, can we also apply this also to businesses? Can we also apply this? You should check most of our Twitter trends. Do we, as Nigerian youths, are we ready to pay the price? Are we ready to look at deep technicalities? Young men and women who should go into business? Do we have influencers educating people on politics, leadership, and power? Do we have debates on this regularly, on this social media forum?
What's the price? You said pay the price.
Yes, pay the price. Pay the price in business development. Pay the price in also learning the art of leadership. Knowing that, yes.
But there are some persons who feel that Nigerian youths are really educated in some of these things. They've acquired quite a lot of knowledge.
It is not just about the education. You see, leadership, there is a drive. And then it tells us something, that we've got raw energy. What we need to do is to refine it further. You understand? We must be pragmatic, we must be truthful to ourselves. If we must get power, we must have a fine edge where you transit these people off neatly and seamlessly. And then what is also the essence?
Abraham has something to.
Yeah, so I agree with what he's saying to some extent of, okay, look, for me, first time for this NSAS movement thing, it's not like it's the first time that youth from all across the country are coming up as one. That has been what have been missing before now. People in the West could have their own agitation and the people in the North will not care. The same thing with the East. But because this police brutality cut across everybody, it became like, okay, let's have one voice. And for the first time, we're having one voice. And we were saying off air that when you come up there, when I say end SARS, you now want to ask for something else. What if that something else becomes, okay, what if we now have proper representation in offices of power? And that is
they have achieved that at that point.
No. I'm talking about transition. As in, let's our voice be heard from this point onward.
Okay.
And that is only because we don't believe the people who are up there are doing what they ought to be doing. Because I don't find in developed countries people are saying that the reason why we don't have this is because people are old. If you're an old man and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing for the youth to thrive, nobody cares about your age. The reason why we are having this clamor is because we're saying, okay, you are old, but you don't want to change some of the things that will help us to thrive.
No.
Exactly. And so that is why we're saying the youth, because the youth could be there. We have governors who are youth. And people are crying that they're not going to
We even had a chronicle now of youth governors that we have had in this country, youth leaders, youth senate presidents in this country.
The youngest governor so far is the governor for this state. So what's this presentation?
Exactly. So that's the thing. So it's, for me, youth should be a metaphor for a new form of consciousness of saying that it transcends just age or gender, but that you are in the office and you're thinking first and foremost how you can make the life of the people who are below you better. If you're doing that, nobody cares how old you are. Donald Trump is how old? What's his name? Biden is how old? Is anybody saying they're too old? No, but if you have what it takes to
The issue of age doesn't come up.
it doesn't come in if you have
When
leadership.
the right thing.
Now that's exactly what I was trying to draw on. You understand? We should know what parameters, what does leadership require? If we're talking about having young men there, can we have a shift? What difference are we ready to
Solomon,
make?
there's something you said. You said you need to be ready to pay the sacrifice.
Yes.
And someone also rightly said the other day that are youths ready to pay the sacrifice? And someone challenged him and said, if Obafemi Awolowo paid this sacrifice at his time, and I have to pay the same sacrifice, what does that mean? Doesn't that mean that we haven't moved or stuff? So what sacrifice are we talking about that youth need to pay?
See, let me comment
at this point. Yes.
You said something regarding how it started. Let me just make something clear now that the NSAS hashtag trend started 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
Not just now. It got to our neck. We have to go to the streets. In fact, we've been going to the streets before now, but in just small capacity. This is the first time actually it went viral. I think, let me just say, together with the
went viral online and on
the street also. Now, when we did that to end police brutality, the Nigerian youth is asking for one simple thing for the last 4 or 5 years, and thereabout. Stop killing us. Better good government, good justice system. We're not asking for too much. We're not asking for you to actually give us job. But stop killing us, because you're not giving us job, but we're hustling. We hustle from the the electronic world, which I tell people the global gig economy has a capacity to deliver about $50 billion to an economy for those who want it. And they make money and you call them Yahoo boys. All right, you don't give them light. They find a good way to improvise to get what they want. So we've been sacrificing for the nation for as long as I know it.
That is your definition of sacrifice.
No, we've been sacrificing for the nation as long as we know it. We've been keeping the nation on the map as long as we know it. In sports, in business, in entertainment. We've been doing that.
So at this point, let's bring in the lady.
All right.
She has something to say. So Anne, go ahead.
Well, the thing is that power has to live through. And one thing I've noticed from our Nigerian is that we have always been on the me part. So when SARS started, 4 or 5 years ago, was it personalized or not? People in Nigeria, let's be frank, the youth in Nigeria will make up only 43.69% of the whole population, meaning we have more youths than other people. The problem is not having youths in leadership. It's not having youths in power. Leadership starts with yourself. Now, for a very long time, we the youth have always been me and my entourage. Me and my entourage. Entourage, I'm talking about family, right? So now this enters protest escalated because the generation that's coming up will become entrepreneurial in our mind. And to entrepreneurial, they have some certain assets to need. And those assets come from government. Now, I feel that the answers went viral and spoke fire and spit fire on the ground because it started coming out of the me profile. It started becoming a we profile. It started coming an us profile, and that pushed
like for the
first time it actually did, and that pushed the youth to actually come out on the street. Yeah, we were united at some point, the beginning, sweeping the streets, food and all that. So that shows you that the youth of now, this generation, is ready to be entrepreneurial, right? So it's not about having leaders in governors as youths or presidents as youths. It's not about that. It's about we becoming the president, we becoming the leadership, we becoming, like, I start on my own, you start on your own, we all start on our own. Like, together, it now makes a contributing effort.
But you mentioned some of those things the Nigerian youths did while on the streets that people actually commended online. We had notable Nigerians who came up and said they're amazed at how much Nigerian youths have been able to organize themselves
and even contribute money and give account of every dime that was spent.
Looking at what happened or what should have happened. Yeah, things escalated and went south. That was because it was dragged a bit. It was exaggerated. Well, the protest already had its means. We already achieved what we wanted at the beginning, but we wanted more. And that's where the youth.
So there's more now.
Exactly. I think that was more. Yeah, but that was the disconnecting point because they wanted more from government, not knowing that the more came from us. That was the problem. The more they wanted was from government. Meanwhile, the more we needed is from us.
How do you mean?
It's from us by the means that we start, they follow. That's how it works. Now, America works because the youth starts and the government follows. Do you understand? The government doesn't put the foot forward and the youth follow. No. The youth starts That's where you now see that the government is now helping charities, is helping foundations, helping this, helping that, helping this, helping that. But the main source of power in the United States is the youth.
If we were to, play back this NSAS thing, right? Because we can't run away from it. That's become like a pivotal point of reference. If we were to play back that scenario, what ideal actions do you think should have taken place, and at what point should what have happened? Yes. She has more, but we'll get to have more. We'll come back.
Talking about the NSAS protest that ended, though it's unfortunate that it got to a point where some bad Nigerian youth took over the protest. The truth of it is that just my brother said, he started the website some years back on social media, which was very, very legal. And then also came physical on streets that is protesting, which is also very, very legal because constitutional for citizens to protest. And as we have been saying, I think we need more actions than words. We need more action. We have been talking for a very, very long time now. We need to act. And one problem with we Nigerian youth again is that we are divided. We are divided.
But this time we look.
Yes, we're united. We're united at this, and that's why most of us even agree to the fact that this is the first time that we are coming together as one. But still, if you look at it, the aspect that we are divided, because even when most Nigerian youth were out protesting, there were other Nigerian youth outside in some part of the country protesting against Nigerian youth, saying they are for SARS, that SARS should continue and SARS should not be scrapped. And it was some of the same these Nigerian youth that I called back.
The NSAS protesters' voices were much louder than those.
It was louder, but at the end of the day, we all saw it that this same youth came in and then they disrupted.
Should we have gone out? Should Nigerian youth have gone out for that and not expect that there would be these other voices coming up, a counter protest?
Let's be frank. Because
at what point what steps should have taken? What would have made that an ideal scenario? I just want us to play back a little bit, like do a bit of drama.
How should they have gone?
Yeah.
Well, I think we actually started on a good note. You know, when we started mobilizing and protesting like non-violently and everything. Now the thing is that we have far back left the Nigerian youth, so there is a lot of loopholes we didn't look at going for the NSAS protest. That is the loophole in the sense that most of our Nigeria, half of Nigerian youth are struggling. Yeah, half of us are making it. If I'm making it, let's just say middle class, not even there yet. You get it? So now when we started the NSAS, it's a protest. Now it was those, I feel it was those in the lower class who were going for the protest. In the first, when it started, it was the middle class. No, when it started, middle class, they founded it. But who continued? The youth that were hungry. Those were the youth that continued. Now the educated ones, let's just say, the ones that had the privilege to go further, we stepped back after we heard the declaration of NSAS, whatever that was written, and wasn't even announced or whatever. We stepped back. Now, who continued going to the streets? Those that were at home, those that were hungry. We didn't look at these people when we started the protest, which we were. So when we stepped back, they came forward, and it's surely going to bring disruption because what they are going for is different from what we went for in the first place. So it's not about division. It's about could these people you're talking about have been controlled at this point? Yes.
It had happened.
If we had started earlier.
Started what?
Controlling ourselves.
There was something that came.
It goes down to leadership.
Sorry, let me just say something. We got to a point when they were asking after the first 1 week, who are your leaders?
Good. This is
We had no leader.
None.
No leader. No
but
leader.
one of the reasons that came up was that for every previous protest, when the two things would happen when there was a leadership, is either they got bought over or they got harassed.
The thing is, it's not as if they were leaders, but they were no leaders open that
came out.
But the truth is this: when it started, the history started. Naramali, Runtown, Pa's the bad guy.
Yeah.
We're going out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I want to protest. They called out the street protests. That's the first one. So they actually established themselves as a leader.
Okay.
We are going to Alausa. They established themselves as a leader. Now it got to a point, okay, we want to talk to you, we want to talk to you. Show us your leader. Of course, that is where the youth exuberance came up. We have no leader. We have no leader. We want this, we want that, blah, 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 blah. We enjoyed that carnival that came in. The musicians coming to sing, the food, the perfect lifestyle. Of course, like she said, so many people were hungry, came on board to enjoy yourself. We fail to provide a leader. Every struggle must have a leader.
How do you tackle the problem, the fear that the youth had of buying over the leadership or harassing the leadership? How would that have been tackled?
No.
Because it looked like a very hard place to make a decision. Do you understand the issue of a leadership coming up? Because this still boils down to, if we are going to have a voice, we need to lay reference to what has happened in order for us to, make examples and take next steps.
Let me say it in short.
Yes.
There's a leader that started this protest over 4 5 years. The man named Zawuson.
Yes.
Called Sega. Sega was so strong that if you are caught by police, still record Sega. Police will leave you because they will fight your case for you. Now that man has not been bought up till now. So you have people you
Did
can
I see him at a point saying he has stepped down?
No, because when everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry came on board, no control, no leader anymore. He stepped back.
But I think that's where he went wrong.
Yes.
You see, from this entrance, I thought that this entrance would have generated a lot of talks, a lot of organizations, a lot of foundations, that was where it was supposed to head. A lot of conferences and all that. That was where it's supposed to head. Now, when they came out, why would he step down? He's not allowed to step down. He's allowed. What he was supposed to do was to bring like-minded.
It was a
people
new
like him.
challenge, which
Yes,
it was
like-minded him like
Exactly.
step up, bring up the platform, and represent us.
All they've said. What are your thoughts?
Okay, thank you very much. You see, first, for me, I like to look at the big picture of Nigeria. What do we want? We want a better country. We want a country with functioning systems. Like we were discussing before the interview, the NSAS protest started well, even before hoodlums invaded. And I'm not saying that we know that there are people who had negative interest to disrupt the protest. You understand? But even before that period, we would have converted our strength. There is a transitory point where you change things if we want a better country. Now, demands such as looking at maybe pushing the government away, we are also coming up. And that is not a comfortable demand for a democracy. What would have resulted, Nigeria would have become a Libya or a Syria, and we know what these countries are passing through. So as much as we are a force, as much as we've got a resonating voice, we should also know that there are pressings within the law we should not exceed. The sovereignty of the country, the supremacy of the Constitution. That is one for the issue of the NSAS. Now, if we look at these scenarios that play out, it shows that we have power. And like I will repeat, power is nothing without control. What do we want? We want a better country. Can we continue organizing using social media, like she talked about, having a that as a springboard to launch conferences and debates? You know, not only about how, you see, we should also not look at, there are limits. We should not just look at the government in an antagonistic eye. That all this government, all what we are built on doing is to hold invectives at government. What we should be doing, we should set our fine foot forward. We should begin to organize. There are funds that have been released today. We are not debating about that. We are not talking about that. If it is embezzled tomorrow, we'll begin to shout. If it is misappropriated, mismanaged, or given to wrong people tomorrow, we'll begin to shout. can we also use the same social media platform to begin to organize ourselves within the state and say, if we have 25 billion naira annually, what businesses can we go into? And that is, it takes us back to the point I say, are we willing to sacrifice? Knowing that, okay, yes, you've got these funds, but I will not use these funds for things that will not add to productivity. I know that these funds have been entrusted into my hand or into our hands so that we can pave the way for others. We can have productivity. This is what we should begin to look at now. We've got, see, I can tell you very clearly, even from the ruins and rubbles, you can begin to review.
Yes.
All
The
the
ruins
countries.
and rubbles of this.
Yes.
that
I
just took place,
can
or-
tell you very clearly, there was a Hiroshima bombing, the atomic bomb. And today, Japan, where she
Yeah,
is.
true, true.
We saw the sad story of Singapore. And when they even expunged them from Malaysia,
Yeah.
mistreated them. Today, look at where they are. We saw the story of Singapore and the rest. We are not saying we must take from these countries hook, line, and sinker, but we are saying we should be inspired as young people. There is a role for government. Governments may not get it right all over the world, 100%. And there are some governments that may not even be at par, maybe on the average. But can we begin to, within the limits of what we have, organize ourselves, build, and then have that also as a launch pad, so that those who will be getting into power, because we've debated it here, right here on this program now, that it's not about young people going into power. It's about what you've got to offer, so that those who will be going in would have had a runway to test them, so that if tomorrow my brother is the governor, before he goes in there, before we all queue behind him, based on his managerial skills, the way he was able to organize, inspire, and build within his territory, we now say, okay, he should be governor.
Do you
What
think
we
the
look to-
government of the day tried actually during this last protest, and the youth actually did not recognize that enough and appreciate the efforts that they made?
Okay, that's
That's
to
a
me.
tricky question.
Okay, now,
It's a very tricky question.
as tricky as the question is, as tricky as the question is, we must be very blunt
Yeah.
with the answer. The government did not engage as she should have at the right time. That is the blunt truth.
Yeah.
The government should have engaged at the right time, even the means of passing message. The issue started as End SARS, and it was about ending police brutality
Yeah.
before it morphed up into
Changing
this, and
government
then
and all that.
now when you come up, when people are demanding for an end to a policy or to a program or something, beyond anything, show in action that yes, this has been done. Tender sobriety, calm frayed nerves, and watch things. But what we had was that the police pronounced that yes, Mr. President has directed that SARS should be ended. You understand? We went to meet with the first PRO, and he told us something which we would have taken to the Nigerian youth, that SARS is ended, SARS is dead and buried. What we expected was to begin to see all those steps they talked about, maybe disbanding them at the units and the rest of them, taking them for all those tests and all. But as immediately he said that, I told my media team, I said, this is good. Let us hold this, the Nigeria police by this, and let us take this message. But the next thing was that a new system, which is SWAT, has come up. Now, when that came up, it inflamed the Nigerian youth further. It was like, oh no, it's just like I'm putting on a dark suit here, and they say, take off your suit. And then I say, oh, this, I like putting on suits. Okay, I have taken off this suit. My brother, give me your suit. I put it on. I'm putting on the
This
suit.
is black and that is blue.
Yeah, you understand? I'm putting on the suit. You know, and so if this issue was handled properly by the government, I'm sure the government must have seen that through the fine lines that they didn't get some points right.
Yeah.
If they had done
Just
it,
like we're
because
saying that
once
the youth
people are in
didn't
the
get some
barricade,
points right.
yes, the youth also had their issues,
Yeah.
you know, but in this particular instance, the government, particularly the Nigerian youth, should have done something. Then we, the youth, like we from the Youth Council, at some point, we were like torn between Sila and Charybdis, the devil and the deep blue sea.
Mhm.
We we had a very concise press statement released, calling on the police, release those who have been arrested, ensure you don't brutalize people and all. And the police acceded to those demands. And we also said, we're calling on the youth, now leave the streets. And we're to set up a team around the 36 states going forward to monitor any issues on police brutality, not just from police, but also from other security agencies. But you see, when we didn't get beyond that bridge, there was no way we could come with this message. And then that was where everything.
How did you assess the feeling of the voices of the Nigerian youth being heard presently? What's the feeling like? Yes, being heard by our government.
Besides this conversations we are having, most people, from my own understanding, people always point more, even when you hear them on media talking about NSAS movements, you always end up with the whole laws taking over. And then it's what they are pushing out more now than the original protest itself. So you know, earlier you were asking what they have done. I think from what he said also, which I am in the same page with him, is if the government had responded earlier as they should have done, the process would not have lasted that long for the problems to have taken over. So the youth felt that these guys think that it's like before, right? You can just talk anything and you just go, like they said, if you say answers today, network is SWAT is up, and it's the same people you are putting there. When you do, do a new, recruit new people to put there and all the rest of them. So yeah, but
so that's exactly the point. Since Nigerian youth insisted, then my question is, what's your feeling in terms of, because they insisted because they felt they were not being listened to. That was the feeling, like, what do you take us for, or something like that. Is that feeling better now? Like, do we feel that the government is now actually paying a bit of attention to?
Hope they will pay more attention. That they have seen what
it's not. I feel it right now because I won't pretend. I'll actually actively participating in the NSAS campaign online. But my feeling right now is 50-50. Now we have a government who can talk, but can you do what they say they will do? We'll sing them saying one other thing. Yes, we've heard your demand. Like the president, I will use the president's speech. Yes, we've heard you.
You are being heard loud and clear.
Then secondly, the next rhetoric we hear from the IJs, if you attack them back. You understand? These are mixed scenarios, mixed feelings coming up from the corridors of power. And to some extent, if you're ardent listener of the Nigerian news, government has heard us. But if you're on the streets, you see videos coming out every day, the brutality still on the streets. These guys are here, they don't have guns. And that's why some people are saying, like, if you look at Pastor Tony Bakari on Sunday, made a speech to say, look, our worst protests might come out if government do not hear the youth. And of course,
that's exactly what we are talking about today on the program, yes. The voices of Nigerian youth.
Let me say finish. The president made this National Security Council meeting, security chief. And one of the results we heard from the Minister of Police Affairs was to say, look, never again will NSAS protests happen again. And for that, the government has established different fora where you can communicate your needs and your grievances. So we are seeing different mixed information coming up. Of course, we'll give some time to know whether government will accede or not. But the feeling is right now, same situation. Same solution to same old problem they used to do. Throw money and use violence and brutality.
Before you say, Mr. Solomon said something about social media, says that is where the youths, majority of the youths are even based, where they voice out whatever grievance they have towards the government of the day. And so in sharing or pouring out their grievances on social media, they have also received backlash. Like, people are throwing lawsuits here and there. And we've also seen where the youth, you say follow the money. Some are following the money. And where some of those monies, in glaring eyes, are being looted or taken. And so they say, well, we're talking about this money, and they're telling us to keep talking about the money that is a youth investment money. How best will their voices be heard, or how should they even go about it? Because I don't agree with you saying that they don't talk about investments or monies that are being separated.
Now, let me get it very clear. and we have the Youth Council in 36 states and the FCT making 37 state chapters. We have chairman and at national level, we have the president, just like you have the president and the state governors. What I am emphasizing is we have got funds. I'm not talking about the general accountability process. Of course, that is also something which we must also follow, and we must also speak about, and we must also see that things are done transparently. What I'm talking about now is that how can we build Nigeria? If we have 25 billion naira annually, if we organize with maybe a million, he might have a brilliant idea somewhere that says, okay, we import computers, but if we have these components and we have a million naira and we could be able to do this. This fund, there's a limit to what, and the minimum is 25,000. If we have a group of young men coming together, say we will form a consortium, a corporation, you understand, based on conversations that have come up. In Anambra State, this is our comparative advantage. In Gombe State, this is the comparative advantage of the state. If we join heads together and join our innovative ideas together, we can begin to produce computers in Anambra State, and then it will shelve off the issue of importing these computers. It will trigger productivity. It will create jobs. In Gombe State, if we begin to make mobile phones, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That we, as young Nigerians, we should also strengthen the discourse, the conversation on building businesses, on building ourselves in leadership, on also testing the mettle of leadership. Because you see, no matter how brilliant all of us speak today, I will not come and cast my vote for him or him just because he speaks with so nice oratory, flowery speech and all of that. Leadership is not about speech making. Leadership is about determination. Look at how we can manage these businesses. That is what I'm looking at. All what I was just saying.
No,
Bottom line is that it's not just about saying that there's an even people have one system in those days when I was growing up that if a man has a supermarket, he will bring a young boy. Yeah, apprenticeship. The guy will be with him after 2-3 years. The guy goes on his own, right? If that business is moving on well,
it's a system that's not being studied in Harvard.
Thank you. Yeah. Now you don't need to actually come and shout for us to come into business, because if the business is thriving, what I mean, even man is shouting. The cost of producing things in Nigeria is far expensive compared to the ones you bring from abroad. You get, so it's good to say, come and find ways to maximize the opportunities of building a business and running with it. But it's also good for the government to know that your business can thrive profitably if the environment that is supposed to help you to thrive is not there. People have been shouting of double taxation up till today. We're still having the same thing.
Now, let me just chip it. You see, these are things which we should begin to aggregate and begin to push on. Like the woman.
Is right. But business, not government, not it all. I'm sorry, I stand for individuality. It all boils down to the individual. If someone has a business idea, look at the people we're trying to copy from, our so-called colonial masters, the United States. Every business owner started at the youth age. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they all started. Did the government help them? The taxation in America is crazy. The taxes you're going to pay is mad, and it's a credit system.
Do we pay as much tax as
I don't think so, but yet business strive. Why? Because it's individual something. Now, if I don't have what it takes to start a business, even if I have the idea, if you give me the money, that money is about to disappear. Let me just tell you the truth. Now, it starts with me. It starts with you.
We have to train ourselves. I have, okay, I have this idea. Or it's not, I'm a woman, a single mother. I'm a youth. I have my kid. I know the struggles we go through. Now, to me, it's like I'm struggling and I understand what it takes or what it means for a man not to be there when you have a kid. And to me, it's like, okay, there are other women out there going through it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start one woman at a time. If I see a woman struggling, I'm going to go to her, use my experience, use the little money I have, back her up. I don't need the government. I don't need money from the youth council. No, wait, hold on. I don't need money from the youth council. I don't need the government. I'm someone I don't look at government. Whoever is going to be president is going to be president, whether you vote or not. Let's just be frank.
But you need because between on a scale of 1 to 10,
that's
how many youth do not need the government? No, and how many have the courage to stand on their own? We have a 1 out of 10.
It struggles, yeah. Salary doesn't do nothing. It struggles, yeah. But if you're determined, those people that started in garages, Amazon, Google, whatever, they all started in garages. Did the government come down and give them a pay? But we can't. In Kenya, those that are producing, in Kenya, there's a guy that came up with the idea of producing electricity from his source of faith. We have to have the mentality, even ourselves need to be grounded.
I know a young man. I know a young man who makes baskets from newspaper in Nigeria. But the question is, how many out of Nigerian youth can do those very special things?
Yes. Now the truth is, you're 100% right. But given the right, government has a very big role to allow big your vision to come to play. I'll give you an example. For instance, I consult as a business consultant to some people. A guy came to meet me. I did, what's up? I have X amount of money. I want to start a boxer making business in Nigeria. But I thought we have feasibility study in production of boxers in Nigeria. Discover that by the time he produces one boxer, giving electricity, double tariff, and other thing, he will be actually selling one boxers for like 2,500 for one. Now, compared to the Chinese product in the country, which is about 500 naira, they're about to call it. Now, that is one problem. The fact that the cost of production is actually very, very, very high. Now, it's not as if we don't have the youth today. You have a young guy, well, an IT guy. He has done something good when it comes to RFID. All right. But the question still remains, is there right now in the house? The idea is there with him in the house. We've looked for investors. But no Nigerian investors is willing to fund an idea which is actually a disruptive idea. Because you know the reason why? Most of our big men will not fund any research because why? They are well sometimes lack substance. So they don't fund on research. If your idea is a kind of idea that leads you to go further research, nobody funds research in Nigeria. And so when you look at Bezos, you look at Facebook. Facebook was, sorry to say, with all due respect, Zuckerberg was a Nigerian. Sorry, you're still in his father's couch. Sorry to say, because the question is who is willing to when you bring investors into investors in business, your investors want to collect your head and your leg as part of a profit. When you get so these are some of the challenges we get apart from the environment which the business operates. Of course, you do business, you know what we call pestle analysis, politics, economic, social, technology, legal, and the rest. Of course, when you look at Nigeria, you have so many legal requirements for the business. The political, we don't talk about it. We talk about the economy, we talk about the inflation rate right now in Nigeria that has risen to double digits. Who does that? If I have 1 million naira right now, the value of 1 million naira is less than 700,000 naira. So these are the things we have with businesses in Nigeria. And that's why no matter you want to discuss business in Nigeria, you can't take out politics. And go back to Nigerian news in discussing politics. Yeah. That was a friend of mine who was an active participant in the NSAS protest. The guy called me and said, I'm actually depressed.
No,
this country has failed us. This is happening. I'm going to Canada. I say, bro, calm down. Leave Canada. Calm down. Do you know, first and foremost, we started something. Coming together as NSAS in the beginning. What we can do is for the leaders to come together and ask ourselves, okay, as a youth, what do we, like you said, what kind of power do we want to do? Because all the things we want to change, we can't change it by what? End SARS now, end protest. You can't take out the government by protest. You can't take out the constitution by protest. No, you must do it through the legal means. What the legal means? You have about 43% of us population as youth. Can we get about what's the number of people that voted in the last election? Can we get about 30 million youth in one political party and get each of them 2,500 per month to fund a political party? So that
but you know someone, yes, let's say
I don't really want to go into that.
No,
I'm lending my voice into, for instance, the political parties, like for youth, for instance. I don't want to go that way. I would have loved for us to be able to use our voice. You mentioned social media to say, okay, you know what, guys, I don't care your age, right? This is what we want as our leader. If you are 60 or 65 or 30, but you want to come and speak to us. Let us see your policies. Let us see what you have to deliver, and then give us a step-by-step guide. You see, Biden and Trump arguing. They didn't just say, "I am going to make things better." No. They break things down for you. There's just coming, what is his name? Biden is not giving you a template for how he intends to fight COVID in his country. Step-by-step guide. That's what I'm asking for us to demand from anybody who wants to come and guide us or lead us.
Before you
But we still have to
hold on, let's hear from Mr. Shakoya. He hasn't spoken for a while. But you're on the grassroots, Mr. Shakoya. Bagging you development station.
Yes,
So on this particular issue, for people at the grassroots, what do you think? And should we best to you about it with the voices to be heard?
All right. Just as I said, at the grassroots, and before you get to the top, you must first of all start from the bottom, because when you want to climb the tree, you cannot just jump on the tree like that. Even if you decide to jump there, you must first of all be on the floor before you jump. It's not even possible. So we must come back to the grassroots. When I talked about participating in politics. You cannot just participate in politics, like you cannot just start from the upper level. You must start from the community level. How many of us are recognized in our communities? What role are we playing to ensure that our communities develop?
What is it like at that community level? The young people there, what's it like with them? What are their expectations?
The problem with us at the community level is that most of us are just we are just so relaxed. We don't want to be involved, and then we expect that at the end of the day
we expect to carry them along at the end of the day when we are not in
At the
office.
community level, do
And
they expect ideologies, or do they expect young people to come with money? What's the expectation?
no, the truth about it is that the system already have been destroyed. Yes, because if you are coming to politics now, if you don't have that, you don't have the money to give, no one is ready to listen to you. But the truth still is that we can still, there's something we can still do without money. Because I told you the last time I came that 2015 I contested for councillorship, and I was not having the money. That's the truth. But when I came out, because of my relationship at the grassroots level, at least I was able to intimidate some people. And then today, that's the truth. Because politics has to do with intimidation. Yes, even when you know you won't get there, sometimes you don't need to intimidate.
You make your mark.
Yes. So at least I intimidate some people, and then if it comes again that I want to contest, I'm sure those kind of, in fact, I'll be giving more opportunity. So I want to encourage our youth to make sure we participate in policy, and even at the local level, we should not allow the people to continue to intimidate.
They've said, they said so many monies pass to the local governments that people are not even talking about. But come on social media, we're talking about the president, the billions, the 75 billion that have been allocated for you. So many, so much more is going on at that level. How can you find your way to make sure that their money is your money? It counts.
You see, it's very good that we hold our local government chairman and then our councillors accountable, because the focus is always on the president, and then we are forgetting the governors, forgetting the local government chairman, and even the councillors themselves. And this is a federation, and that's why we have this point. The president cannot do everything. In fact, even in the constitution, everybody has a role to play. The local government have his own. Local government chairman have his role to play. The state government, that is, the governors have their own role to play. But what we see today is that you see the youth, or you see the citizens blaming the president for what the local government chairman is supposed to do. And sometimes you blame the local government chairman for what the president is supposed to do. So there is a need for
not getting the right response.
there is, and sometimes, in fact, you see us blaming the legislative arm of government for what the executive arm of government is supposed to do. So we need to know our roles. Even as youth, we need to know the roles that our leaders are supposed to play. So I will know when and where to hold them
Maybe the
accountable.
constitution should be translated into language.
I don't even think that's the problem, because in the councillors, the legislators, the local government, they all have I don't know the word to imply, so it doesn't sound like it. They all have youth as boys or whatever they call it, and no true, and they just go to their houses and oh that's a car there or whatever. So these youths were supposed, those people that are aware of the monies that are in between the system are supposed to be the one educating those that are not aware. So it all boils down to us that are in this room. No, true. It boils down to the youths that have the knowledge, the youths that know, the youths that are aware, that are plugged. They plug to the local government, because there's some youth that tell you, if you are looking for something, if I approach someone, if I approach you, I'm like, I'm looking for something where I'll handle it for you. Yeah, we have youths like that in this country. Let's just be frank. Now we have to, that's why when I started like we have been me. We have to start saying us. We have to start saying we. If he is under a local government chairman or he's under someone with influence and he's able to carry other youth along, are you telling me that we are not going to hold them accountable? We are, and even going to start working for ourselves. Now the problem is, where are we? Where are we? What are we doing?
Sorry. Just to follow up. Thank God we have somebody from youth council. You're holding responsibility.
We have to get the panel starts from here.
7 states, so we want to see 7 states for local governments, including my local government, and doing one thing: education. Most of our youth are not educated enough to know what to make the right decision. So if youth council, as big as they are, can actually galvanize fund and actually channel that into educating the youth at the grassroots level. I think to give them more opportunity to speak and their voices to get louder, because of course, because they are not educated, it's easier for that man to deceive them. I don't mind them, the money is not here. And that's why I like the youth in a world of local government. They did something regarding that woman that they say, okay, use palliative for birthday. okay, what do we do? Let's recall her back. We have the power to recall. And it's already the process, house to house. Now look, if this person messed up or do not do any work, you can recall this person back. And these are the process for recalling. We can have those youth advocacy groups.
Isn't this
at
the awakening we are talking about?
Yeah, that's what was
That's
supposed to happen.
really-
That's what was supposed to happen.
Yes, sorry, things have moved to.
Yes, but
Yeah, so I had when we're talking about the grassroots, my uncle, my late uncle was a local government. In fact, my cousin was local government was a councillor, then became a chairman. Then my uncle also became a chairman. Now, while in a village, I told my mom one time that the people who are even his PA, like I'm surprised as how we could give them such role because they can't even speak English. And so I'm wondering what advice you are giving him. Bottom line is, I told my mom later on that maybe I should join politics to help. And she says, please, you are the only son I have out of 6. If you die, my own is done. That they are going to kill you. I have a cousin right now who has escaped death twice because he's into politics, helping people to become governors and the rest of them. Now he wants to run as a local government chairman, a councillor. Sister, he's going through a lot. It's going to be difficult if all of us now, we're talking about this moving forward, don't have a change of consciousness. Because he's my cousin, but I'm telling you, if he gets there, it's not about we're talking about UTL. He's going to be like the way the people we are trying to live. Because what is taking him to get there, he won't look at you tomorrow. The same you are putting him.
It changes you to what you can recognize.
Exactly. And there are demands placed on him. He has godfathers.
But do you need to go into politics to make a difference?
To make a difference?
No, I'm sorry. It's a simple question. Do you need to go into politics to make a difference?
No, but let's talk about going into. Yes, we know that there are people not everybody is, but then at the end of the day, you discover that a lot of decision making and policies you cannot run away from all that.
Yeah,
Do you
but
understand? It is like complementing the effort of that person who is not in politics and making a difference, and helping to make that person's life actually better. Like this person is going to make better.
I totally understand what you're saying. But I feel in life, in fact, I'm sorry, I'm a Christian. The Bible says there's a time for everything. Now, if you get there, like if you are able to break through, get there, you will not have to run after them. They will run after you to make you part of them. And I believe in that.
Yeah, but
That's how
politics works. Will you make?
No, wait. I'm sorry. I'm very liberal when it comes to mindset. So I try to look at
I think
opportunity.
I like your mindset. It's a very pure mindset. You've not entered the Nigerian political water.
I do, but I feel like if you are trying to bring, like, let me tell you something. If you are trying to do that, no, seriously, if you are trying to allow every niche, like every small mindset alter you. What are you
like
looking
they
at?
say, politics is a game of numbers. You can't have. There are some things that they have to contend with, and these are some of the things that Alhassan.
Then the mindset is. Then you're supposed to work the mindset. You're supposed. No, I believe you're supposed to work the mindset. Come on, there are a lot of people out there. People are doing it, and I don't believe in Nigeria. We cannot do it. We can. It all depends on our mindset and the kind of unity and the kind of crowd we follow and the kind of people we are pushing. That's what I believe in. I can't believe that because he's having pressure from a godfather or because he's having pressure from the people that are trying to push him into politics or people that are going to help him, that when he gets there, he's about to forget his neighbor. I don't believe in it.
Well, I'm sorry you don't believe in it, but I can't control what you believe in. But I am telling you now that as his relative, in fact, I have a friend also who contested in Kaduna State as a councillor. When he came to me, this is what you want to do. What I asked him is, can you please, I'm not from Kaduna State, but can you tell me what you want to do for your people? And he listed, and I told my wife that if these people like this start like this and they enter, then maybe we're going to have good leaders entering there. He didn't make it at the end of the day because he told me that he was called and was asked to step down. They don't want too many parties. They just want maybe only APC and PDP. In the at first, he didn't agree. But when he was threatened, he escaped assassination because the wife called us one middle of the night that is coming from Kaduna that they want to kill him. Bottom line is that he voiced him, right? Just to
I think that thing about death, because death is not I'm going
yeah, so he feels I want to go there and go and help. And then I want to go and come and service, and then you're going to kill me for that.
The
So I
background.
think it's something
That's why they
I
must
don't
use.
like this kind of information about threats and threats to life and death. One of the things, like I was saying before we finished, like we can have not necessarily going to a political party, general, but having a youth pressure group, like we have the Nigerian Youth Council, we can cascade it down to actually local government and whatever to hold the leaders responsible. Like she said, if the youth lead, they will follow. So we need to have a system first. So we need to have a system. The youth need to develop a system to checkmate those in power if you can't get into power.
Is this possible, Mr. Solomon, even with the youth council and Mr. Shekoya too?
Thank you very much. I will be running for another event soon, so maybe this might be my last words here. It's very possible, and that's the emphasis we're placing. If you uh, looking through this traditional discussion we've had, you'll discover that a single thread connects all of us. You know, we might be saying it in varied languages, but it's the same. How can we make the system better? How can we make Nigeria better? It is very possible to organize the youth. You know, as the president of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, I know that each young Nigerian has his own independent mindset. But we need to aggregate these mindsets together and begin to flow as one.
Exactly.
Like I stated, when the NSAS protest reached a certain crescendo, because you see, some of us are students of various things. I study power, I study wars, I study revolutions, I study a whole lot. You know how things start. There's a theory called the theory of the deadly embrace, making systems collapse gradually. When it reaches a particular point, you know that you need to shift. We started to talk. But you see, if we are leading the youth and we speak, and there is a crisis of confidence. It looks like you've been bought over because some people came and all they saw was what I said, let's suspend the protest for now. They never saw our test demands to the IGP, even right in the force headquarters there. I stated it clearly. I said, this, along with the team, whatever you people want to do, these are our demands. Release these people and so on and so forth. So if we need to move forward to do this, we must work with a united mindset. And that also boils down to the issue of trainings, which I think about two of you have raised here. We need to train our people, we need to raise an awareness. We need to go to all the various platforms under which we engage. On social media, what should governance be like? If my brother here has talked about somebody vying for leadership and then he's pressing into getting there, and my sister says you must not be in government, it now gives you a denominator, which I stated, are we ready to pay the price? Now if he gets in, despite all the sacrifices, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just hoping the price
Now,
does not expensive.
now it's a simple price.
Yeah.
It's just a simple price of letting self go for patriotism to prevail.
Yeah.
That's just the simple price. You have made all of these sacrifices. Now that you've made these sacrifices and you've gotten to this office, are you ready to let your self needs be subsumed by the overall patriotic needs of that office? Even if they are not taking the perks of office off, are you ready to place a new order? So for us at the National Youth Council, this is what we resolved. And the NSAS protest was a strong wake-up call. We are embarking on rapid, intense trainings across the 36 states and the FCT. A little at a time what we can do. Training our youths in areas where they can go into enterprise. How they can effectively manage the resources available and how we can trade in efforts and partnerships. He talked about, okay, he talked about just holding the federal government accountable. Nobody is talking about the states. During the NSAS protest, we saw some state governors carrying placards that they were protesting against food.
Some state governors.
Yes, they were protesting against bad governance. You know, so what were you know, so we need to know if there is a 75 billion from the federal government, what roles will the state government play? If we put ourselves together, economies of scale, challenges that you talked about, you know, for this entrepreneur, if we can organize 1,000 entrepreneurs in the state and pressure the state government, give us an industrial field here. Let's also now get the private sector. How can we get power? How can we get infrastructure?
Exactly.
Can we have a model to build youth cities?
Like the way they made the NSAS protest ground work, we can also make our
own youth cities work. Yeah, perfect. So that's exactly what we're talking about. So what we want to do for us at Youth Council, I, as an individual, I believe in solutions. We cannot run to Canada, Russia, or anywhere. If we go there,
home is home. No matter where you go, which musician said
even if you bring those, if you bring the Canadians here with the mindset they have, and you take us to Canada or you take us to the United States, in 10 years, we'll be rushing and praying that we will come back to
So it's a value orientation.
So we need to really
I think a very strong question that I want us to wrap up with this morning is how we can, you know, make our voices heard and count in a non-violent way, with affirmation, firmly, and ensure that we are heard. Because that was, for me, where the gap came in this last protest. So,
and we have people from different backgrounds.
Exactly.
So, coming from that angle, how? The question. Let's start with the business development.
Ensuring that these voices are actually heard, not just, I don't know if you understand what I mean by really heard.
Okay, so I would say that for us to be able to attend maximum, like for people to be able to hear the voices of the Nigerian youth, as he said, there are steps and there are hierarchies. And in all these steps and hierarchies and legal aspects and everything, we have, you see, the people that started the NSAS protest were learned people, right? They went to the street, they started it. Now, what they would have done was to go to, to take it a step a notch further. That's people that are there, the youths that you know, friends that are there, that are probably maybe with the local government, that are with the government, that are with the president, that are with the police, people that have hands. You know, when I'm talking with people, there are some people that are like, is it the VIO? I have people there to be fast. No, true. Is it immigration office? I have people there, it will be fast. And people that are saying this are not 60 years old, and they are the youths. That's when they have arms. Now, we would have actually gathered these people that have arms, bring them,
for the right cause.
Use them for the right cause. Exactly. Not attacking like violence for violence. No. We have them pushing the agenda. He's in the youth council pushing the agenda while we are peacefully protesting. The Black Lives Matter. Didn't you see how it went?
That was much more huge.
It was supposed to go. It was supposed to go. It could have gone.
One of the biggest view on.
It could have gone south.
Oh, really?
No, it could have gone south. Because in America, in fact, there's a whole state that is full of dogs. So it could have gone south. Why didn't it? Because the people that had arms knew how to use their arms.
Okay.
So musicians came out pushing. How did they push? They did not push by singing and making concerts. They pushed by actually using their power, their influence in the government, in the people that knew, making statements, coming out, conferences, panels, this and that and that. That was how Black Lives Matter started. And that was how it even ended. That's how it's still on the go. But that's how they are doing it. People are coming out to protest. Yes, making their voice known. And other people, the youths, the Black Lives Matter youths are out there making panels, like advocating
so utilizing all the resources that we have.
Removing the me and becoming an us.
So Hassan is in the entertainment sector. So from that angle, how should the people, the
And you know
celebrities
the
in that-
celebs actually played a very huge role in this the entire
celebs.
you are a celeb here, oh. Hey.
So how should they go about
So,
it?
well, for me as an actor, I think I've liked everything he ran it up with. My appeal to him would have been if he can carry us along, because sometimes I think information is powerful. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't have even known anything. It's a pipeline.
Yeah.
You get, and so now I can say, or with my own small audience, I can say what I want to say. But if for him, if he will carry us along, because I be maybe because I'm as an artist, I believe that it's powerful. There are some things you can tell me I will forget, but there are some things if I watch, I may never forget.
Most of our youth today will do form opinions and lifestyle by watching them. That's the learning.
So if you partner with us, for instance, and our scriptwriters bring out scripts. See, there are movies I watch sometimes as a Nigerian when I watch American movies, and I'm like, my goodness, I'm already in love with America.
True.
You will see a soldier who is hot. Me, I'm praying for him to run and hide. And he turns back, he sees a guy who is lying down, who will even die anyway, but he'll be like, I can't leave a man behind. And he's on his way to go back. Sometimes he could even get killed in the process. But guess what? If you give him the same opportunity, he'll do the same thing again. It tells you patriotism, like I would rather die for this flag than just go and hide somewhere.
True, that's
for us, sometimes even me, I was like, look, I want to see scripts that pushes this out. Script that is beyond just love stories or anything like that. So if you're going out, for instance, to meet youths to speak to them, there is a way we could collaborate. There are ways to gather people to draw their attention. For us to be able to say, okay, wait, what's going on here?
It's actually all about getting attention.
It is, because if you just go to a place and hold a seminar and you put this thing, you just send, maybe you pay for adverts on radio, you're only going to get a certain kind of people to come there, right?
But there are some
while in school, there was a clever style we did. We went to the market, of course, many people have used it. I behaved like I felt like a madman. And then we started arguing with one of our actors, and before a guy who just like the policeman came and said he's going to judge the matter today. People started coming in small, and then when I say we're trying to hold the show, so and so, please, blah. Nice. You get the point is the people who are trying to are people who are common. You get, so what I'm trying to say for our voice to be heard, of course, actors, entertainers who are many people write good songs. I listen to some very beautiful. Songs of patriotism and love for one another. Let's keep pushing it in the airwaves for us to have that consciousness that we are all one. It's not about my tribe or your tribe or where you come from. It's not about youth. People in the north will be saying they're talking about Buhari, or the ones are saying no, it's not about. No, let's just come together as one. I'm a Christian, and I saw an audition in Kano of Islamic movie, and I said went to the guy that, sorry, if you have this place, I would like to come and play. I wouldn't say because I'm a Christian that I'm not going to act in the no, teach me Arabic, I will do it. You get, I will say it because I just want you to see me as we're all one together in this whole thing. You get, so
partnering with the right resources and organizations and people, I think,
All right. You see, for our voice to be heard loud and clear, we must speak in unity. And just as my sister here said, we cannot all be in politics. That's the truth. We cannot all. It's not even possible. So those of us that are into business should be serious with our business. Those of us that are into politics should be serious with our politics. Those of us that are even in youth organizations should be very, very serious with it. Because the problem that we are having today is that you see some that are into youth organization trying to go into dive into politics at the same time. And one thing with politicians is that if you claim to be in the other side and then you try to come in, they always want to bring you down.
Sure.
You understand? But once you're already part of them, they find it difficult to bring you. And the problem we're having in most of our youth organizations today is that we are not being united.
Sure.
We are not united. There are factions amongst us. youth of the National Youth Council, for instance, the other time I heard that we are having two presidents. I don't know of now. And then,
time.
Yeah, trying to make a point.
I don't know of now. And there is also a youth organization, the National Youth Organization (NYO). Just recently, the president of FC chapter came up and then he was talking about the LEA this strike that the LEA strike, foreign school strike, and then he was seriously fighting to ensure that this strike is over. And then another youth came up, and then he was claiming to be the president also, and then he was now speaking against this other president, and he was like supporting, and he wanted, yes, he was like supporting the strike. So I began to wonder what kind of youth is this one? So we must speak in unity. Those of us, as I said earlier, those of us that are in business should be very, very serious about business. Those of us that are in politics should be very, very serious. My brother talked about being being intimidated in politics. There is risks everywhere. If you want to do business, you must be ready to take risks. Politics, you must be ready to take risks. That's the truth. If you are not ready to take risks at all, then know it very well that you cannot achieve anything. In fact, even if it's even a risk not to even do anything at all. Yes, there is risk not to take risks at all. So if you decide like there's a story of a man. He said that he don't want to enter a car because of the rate of accident everywhere. And then he decided to stay in his house. And then what happened was that the car came from nowhere and then
Thank you so much for your thoughts. So finally, Mr. Adedele.
Okay, I think finally, what we can do as youth to make our voice heard, not in a very violent way, but in a very peaceful way, is first and foremost, I want to agree with everyone speaker, collaboration, unity, one voice, still mission. Now, as youth group, as individual youths, we should always be on mission. I've seen different youth organizations come up. Especially when I work with some of these guys from the South, we can go to CAC register just because of what my sister is saying, just to get money, blackmail somebody. Yes, they monitor the projects. Instead of telling you or correcting you, they want to collect money from you, settle us. That's why they do not write a proposal or they write a letter to the organization. So we know we have even enemy within ourselves as youths. That's the problem. So we need to stay on mission, and we need to stay on point, and we need to collaborate, and also we need to learn, as what she has said also, to train the other youths who are less knowledgeable on issues that are political. Train them well, and also when the next election comes, galvanize your people around you to come. We have this "I don't care" attitude. Will be our problem. Maybe we need to get down. We will sit down for us.
But are we waking up now with the
now with the reality of on ground? We are waking up, and we need
so.
to stay on point and keep them
Yeah.
on ground. And of course, like we said, we have judiciary, executive, legislature. Of course, we talk about the fourth estate of the media. We should always be in the media to tell things and to tell our story out there. And of course, we pray they will hear us. We'll keep saying it and saying, of course, because we can't convince them by our words, but we expect that by saying it, those are the leaders, their hearts are heart of stone. God will give us the grace so that the world will penetrate, and of course, we will meet us at the point of our need.
We must say big thank you to all of you. I feel like clapping for you guys.
You all are heroes.
Thank you so much for your time. And please feel free to pick up your phone and share because we're still live.
Yes.
Share. We should have done that at the beginning so that your people can watch you because we're talking about your own community hearing these things or taking these kind of narratives back, and it all begins here. So please just log on to Click Nigeria now and share while we are still at it. And so the hashtag we are using right now is hashtag Click Nigeria Heroes Challenge. I mean, after this, you can still tag somebody who you think, a young person who you think is a hero, and use the hashtag Click Nigeria Heroes Challenge. But we must say thank you to all of you, Mr. Adamu Shekonya, spokesperson of Baggy Youth Development Association, Maitama Kubwa. I like that your accent is very well.
Our landlord.
You didn't have money.
I'm telling you. You're the money guy.
Thank you very much.
Our landlord.
Mr. Adekunle Ade, Public Affairs Analyst and Commentator. Thank you so much. And Mr. Solomon Adodo, President, National Youth Council.
Thank you
Thank you very much for
God
being
bless
here.
Nigeria.
Annette Eitayo, Bode, Business Development Analyst. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
And
having
our
me.
dear actor, Mr. Al Hassan, Abraham Al Hassan.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for being with us. After this, we're going to take pictures. We have our red carpet outside, so you can take pictures. You can take pictures here, and we'll be posting and tagging you as well. If you post, please tag us. We want this to go as far as possible. My name is Ehio Hiani.
And I'm Sylvia Ishimi. Okay, so youths, stay focused. That's it.
All right, congratulations, Nigerian youth or our Nigerian heroes.
Our
So we'll
producers have been
Yes.
Hilma UKJ, Eleken Yahweh, and of course, Matthew the Purple Diva.
And Ralia Adama. Thank you, ladies. And thanks to the entire Click Niger crew for making this happen. It's still happening. Tomorrow is the award ceremony,
Yes.
and you're all invited. We're expecting that you'll all be here. Let's keep celebrating ourselves. If we don't celebrate ourselves, yesterday we were on the network service, we were talking about, and someone called in and said, this should not just be Click Niger heroes. They should advise the government to give them national awards. So we're getting there. But you know, if we don't say it, nobody will say you should go for national awards. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much. My dear sister. Cheers.
Thank you.
These pictures.
Get up.